In Matthew chapter 25, Jesus gave a parable that most of his audience experienced: a wedding. Like a wedding today, the ceremony bonded more than two people. Their families became relatives. But this fact carried far greater weight in the time of Jesus. In fact, when the bride stepped across the threshold of her new husband's home, she ceased to be a member of her clan and joined her husband's clan. The moment she stepped into her new home, she was married. Any ceremony at the husband's house was secondary. Two traditions rose up from this view. First, the prospective father-in-law lost not only a daughter, but a worker. Hence, he expected some compensation for his loss. The husband and fiancé's father agreed upon a price of this reverse dowry. However, last-minute negotiations were expected, so no one knew when the haggling would end, and the wedding party could make its way from the bride's house to the groom's house. Next, the party began with the procession from one house to the other, announced by a town crier. But who paid for the festivities? The husband's clan footed the bill, from paying the crier to the food and the drink to any accommodation necessary for the guests. In a small hamlet, the party could last for days, all night and all day long. In the relaxed atmosphere of country living, guests could come and go in the clan's compound, feasting when they wanted, napping when they needed. For light, many depended upon olive oil lamps. One could add oil to the center hole and adjust the light by moving the wick out for greater light, in for dimmer light. By manipulating the lamp, one could extend its light during times of rest and create a greater glow for times of travel. With that background, let's unpack the parable. The husband represented Christ. The town crier represented the missionaries who went out to proclaim the good news. The nighttime represented the dark periods of persecution many Christian communities faced. The 10 young girls represented believers who waited, expecting for the Lord to return at any moment. The oil in their lamps represented their faith. While they waited, their lamps burnt at a low level, but with the announcement of the second coming, their lamps would burn bright. The parable begged the question: did believers have the oil of faith necessary to wait for the Lord's appearance? Were they strong enough to face down prejudice and persecution? Or were they weak, depending upon others to carry them through? And when the Lord did return in glory, would they be prompt in receiving him? Or would they hesitate and find denial when the feast of the kingdom began? As Christians, we look forward to the second coming, when the Lord Jesus will return in glory. This makes our faith apocalyptic. Such holds the world will come to an end in a dramatic, even violent way. Then God will judge the world by saving the faithful and condemning the sinners. As a central tenet of our faith, we believe Christ will sit on God's judgment seat. Yet we also hold the Lord is present among us, especially in the church. How can Jesus sit at the right hand of the Father in heaven, yet live with his people on earth? Take away the old notion of the three-part universe: in a skyward heaven, in an earthly realm, and in a hell at the core of the depths of the earth. We still face the mystery of Christ here, yet not here. He lives with us in the church, its worship, and its outreach to others, especially to the poor. But he's not fully present in his glory. This will only happen at the end of time. Matthew 28:20 tells us he is with us always. But John 13:33 states that we will look for him. We hold both of these beliefs in tension. He is with us, yet we wait for his coming in glory. In a sense, we already live in the end times. While we don't know the exact moment or the flow of time when the end will come, we believe that Christ came, died, and rose from the dead. We also believe that he will return in glory. So we're in this in-between time, a period of anticipation. We don't live fully in the kingdom, but we have tasted it in and through the church. When we receive Eucharist, when we reach out to those in need, when we choose the right moral path, we can experience his Spirit and know that he is present. Be prepared. You don't know when the kingdom will come.